How's it going, guys? Let me just get this candle going for us. There we go. Today I'm going to be reviewing another classic for you guys. Another classic horror film. Wow, hang on. My camera's not right. Let me... That's a little too low there. Let me, just kind of make this right. Don't be scared now. Just setting it up. Alright, we're good. I fixed it. It looks good. Everything seems good. There we go. It's a lot better. This is the one and only House on Haunted Hill, made in 1959, starring the one and only Vincent Price. As many people consider to be, the master of horror, or not the master of horror, but he's in a lot of horror movies. The film was directed by William Castle, who I believe has also done, a lot of other films with Vincent Price. And, yeah, so House on Haunted Hill, this is a good movie. So essentially how the story goes, it follows a millionaire who is played by Vincent Price, and this millionaire decides to rent a haunted house, a spooky house on this haunted hill, as the title, mentions. And, yeah, he basically invites 5 people into this house, and these 5 people have to stay the night in the house with him and his wife. And if they make it through the night, then they will receive $10,000, which is a lot of money back then. So yeah, the film basically follows these 5 people, including the millionaire played by Vincent Price and his wife, and they're just, staying in this castle. Or, not castle, and they're staying in this house, and that's basically the movie. Spooky stuff starts happening, and, yeah, things get pretty spooky up in this house on Haunted Hill. And shit, man, this was damn good. This was a damn good horror movie. In fact, shit, I really liked it. A lot more than I thought I would, actually. It was actually a pretty solid horror film. Yeah, Vincent Price, man, he is awesome in this movie, as always. He's awesome, just in general, like in all the movies he's ever been in. He's an awesome actor, and, definitely... Whenever I see Vincent Price on the screen, I just think, Halloween. It's Halloween time, This is a movie that, just like Carnival of Souls, really has a really great atmosphere that really just gives you this feeling of, like, Halloween. I really don't know how to describe it, but it's a really, really great feeling, honestly. Another film with a very, gothic, sort of macabre, type of atmosphere, thanks to, the setting and the location of this, spooky house on a haunted hill. Like, it has every traditional convention of a horror film, but, like, it's just so great, usually when a film has, all the, conventions of a horror film, it's just kind of like, yeah, this has been done before, but, with this movie, it's a different case, because, like, this is the movie, like, with the traditional conventions of a horror film. Like, pretty much everything about this movie I loved. I can't really think of one downside to this film. Vincent Price was great. I love the atmosphere. The setting, really helps make the atmosphere so great. It's also very scary. Like, that's another thing that really surprised me. This movie's genuinely pretty frightening. The film opens up, with, like, pitch black for about a good 10 seconds. It's just pitch black. You hear nothing. And then just out of nowhere, this scream. Like, this lady is screaming, and it's so loud and so blood-curdling and just so freaking frightening. You're like, holy shit. In fact, many people consider that scream in the very beginning of the film to be, the best on-screen scream, of all movies, or of all horror films. Yeah, they consider it to be, like, the best, horror film scream of all time. And it's a pretty damn frightening scream, if you ask me. And, yeah. There's a lot of, like, ladies screaming in this film, and they're all pretty, like, holy shit, when you hear that scream, shit's going down. You know that they're scared, and you should be scared too. But yeah, man, this movie's actually very, very creepy. In fact, a lot of it kind of reminded me of James Wan's Insidious, actually. There's a lot of moments where, without spoiling much, a girl is, like, always seeing, like, this old lady, like, in the house, and whenever she's in a room alone, she'll see, like, the old lady, like, coming up to her, and then, like, slowly, coming out of the house, or not out of the house, out of the room. And, you know how it's, like, they're not necessarily walking, like, you can tell they're not walking, they're just kind of, like, levitating over there, and then they just sort of levitate back, like, out of the room. It's kind of like that, it's kind of like, the whole Insidious thing, like, that James Wan does. And I have a feeling that, this movie kind of maybe inspired that, the whole, like, them coming up like this and then coming out like that. Like, it's hard to explain. I'm probably sounding really stupid right now. But there were a lot of aspects in this film that really reminded me of Insidious, thanks to, like, all the ghoulish, figures and ghosts, and, just how they how they walk and how they act and how they terrorize these people. It's just, a lot of it reminded me of Insidious, and I have a feeling that this may have inspired it, a little bit of it at least. I'm not too sure on that, but it definitely reminded me a lot of that. And another thing is, the story is actually very captivating. You kind of do genuinely care for these people. Not that, I mean, maybe you don't care for them, but like you're curious to see where the story is going, is what I should say. And it almost plays out as like a mystery crime, drama in some sorts, throughout the movie. But without spoiling much, I'm not going to spoil anything. But there are definitely a lot of stuff in this movie that were a lot like, that of a mystery or crime film, and it essentially is to a certain extent. But yes, the story is very captivating. I was really curious to see where the story went, and it did not disappoint, honestly. This movie does have, of course, a twist at the end. And it's pretty... The movie's very campy. I forgot to mention, very campy movie. I mean, you could probably already tell it's going to be a campy movie, but it's very campy. But the twist ending is a bit cheesy. It's a bit corny, and you're like, okay, it's just, another... cheesy, corny, twist ending to a horror film. But in a way, it's very lovable, It's not the best thing in the world, but, like, there's just something about it, and I think it has to do with, along with how the movie feels. It's just, there's something about it that's very lovable. I don't know. But this movie certainly gives a lot of, spooky vibes, and, yeah, it's just that atmosphere, man. The atmosphere to this film is wonderful. Like I said, it's just your traditional, spooky haunted house on a haunted hill sort of storyline, but it's so good, It's definitely one of the best movies of that genre, out there. And I actually also read that this movie somewhat inspired Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, which is very, very interesting, actually. I did not know that this movie, inspired Psycho, because I guess Alfred Hitchcock saw how well the film was doing in theaters and stuff and decided to make his own horror film about, another haunted house on a hill, or not a haunted house, but, it's a horror film. So yeah, I just thought that was very interesting, that this movie, somewhat inspired Alfred Hitchcock to make Psycho, which is, and Psycho is one of the greatest horror films of all time, so it's like, I mean, shit, this movie must have a lot going for it. And a little fun facts for you, according to the iMDb trivia, this is a director trademark. William Castle uses this. It's a gimmick called emergo in theaters. I believe that's how you pronounce it, emergo. When the skeleton rises from the acid vat in the film, spoilers, I mean, not really, but, there's a scene where a skeleton, rises up in like a vat of acid. So when that skeleton rose from the acid vat in the film, a lighted, plastic skeleton on a wire appeared from a black box next to the screen to swoop over the heads of the audience. The skeleton would then be pulled back into the box as the skeleton in the film is reeled in. Many theaters soon stopped using this effect because when the local boys heard about it, they would bring slingshots to the theater when the skeleton started its journey, and they would pull out, their slingshots and fire at it with stones, BBs, ball bearings, or whatever else they could find. So that's a little, bit of interesting trivia for you. I guess I imagine, a theater experience, watching this movie would be very, very cool. Like, it would just be such a neat experience watching this movie in theaters, considering that they played, with all these certain things as the movie went on. Like, in a way, you can almost call it four-dimensional, like they have stuff, coming at the audience, as something is happening on the screen. Like, you just imagine how awesome it would be to be in a theater full of all these people, and then they have, like, that, where a skeleton's coming up, into, above the heads of the audience, and, it's all this scary shit going on. And, of course, the scream at the very beginning of the film. Like, imagine hearing that, just in a theater, like, it's just pitch black, everyone's just dead silent, and then that scream happens. Like, that would be terrifying, if I, just trying to picture it, that would be terrifying. Of course, if you watch it, like, on your TV or your computer monitor today, it's not going to be as effective. You just look at it as, like, oh, it's just some lady screaming. But if you were to watch that in a theater, like, that would be pretty damn effective and terrifying. Along with all the other, like, emergo gimmicks that the director uses, of the skeleton coming up to the audience. Like, all that shit's very interesting, and this would be such an amazing theater experience, I would think. But yeah, guys, I think it's no secret that I love this film. I really did love it. I liked it a lot more than I thought it was. Like I said, it's just your traditional horror film of a haunted house on a hill, and some spooky stuff starts going on, in the house, of these 7 people in the house, and then of course there's like some sort of mystery crime, elements going on as well. a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's sort of the same old, but you can't really, I mean, this movie kind of made that, you know, that sort of, those sort of horror conventions popular, I guess. So you gotta give it a lot of respect for that, because of this, you wouldn't have the movies out today. Like, you know, you wouldn't have Psycho thanks to this movie, apparently, because this movie inspired, you know, Alfred Hitchcock to create Psycho, and you wouldn't have, you know, I don't think you would even have Insidious if it weren't for this movie. Like, a lot of the inspirations from Insidious seem to come from this movie, so it's just, you wouldn't have a lot of, you know, the haunted house movies that we get out today thanks to this film, so you really gotta respect it for that, honestly. It's just, it's such a classic, you know, just such a great fun watch, you know, to watch this movie, just either alone or with a group of friends. Just watch it during the Halloween season, definitely. Like I said, that atmosphere gives off a very Halloweenish type vibe to it, thanks to, you know, all the gothic and macabre, you know, just shit going on in this movie with the haunted house, you know, on a hill and all that. So yeah, I'm just rambling on now. I'm gonna stop talking. But yeah, guys, House on Haunted Hill, it's a classic. It's a great horror film. It was honestly a lot better than I thought it would. I had a lot of fun with it. Vincent Price is great. Great directing from William Castle as well. Very, very well directed film. And overall, I'm honestly, I don't know what to give it. I'm very stuck on a 4 or a 4.5 out of 5. And you know what? I was thinking about giving this movie a 4 before the review, but I might, you know, after talking about it and after realizing how much I really do like it, and after realizing, you know, how much it probably had an effect on the horror genre, I'm probably going to give it a 4.5 out of 5, honestly. Yeah, it was that good. It was that good. Definitely a very, very good horror film that you should all definitely watch during the Halloween season. It's great. And it's just really nice to see, you know, a movie like this during the Halloween season, you know, a movie that has all of these sort of, you know, spooky vibes going for it. And if you ever feel like you're losing Halloween spirit, or if, you know, it just doesn't feel like Halloween anymore, then just pop this movie in, because this movie definitely will give you, you know, that Halloween feel. And very good Almond Joy. This video is sponsored by Almond Joy. You enjoy your almonds shit. It's really good. Really good. The candy, I mean, you know, the movie's really good too, but candy's really good. Gotta eat those sweets during the Halloween season, man. Gotta eat those sweets. Gotta eat those sweets and drink that wine during the Halloween season. Oh god, it's melting. It's my fingers are all chocolatey shit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely check out House on Haunted Hill during the Halloween season. So far, this is my favorite film that I've watched during the Halloween season, you know, of the horror genre. It's definitely very, very good. And I would highly recommend each and every one of you to watch it. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jacob Palacio. Stay tuned for my other spooky reviews coming for you in the near future. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.